Yo, we got you on the dash of the loader truck. That thing crossed my mind. Yo, B1 Kenobi. What is up, YouTubers? Have you been witnessing anybody? I've been witnessing some folks. I've been here for, I've been off duty for 29 minutes. So I probably just had a 15-minute discussion with two individuals using geometry and numbers to talk about the creation of the earth, measurements, fishing, and pointing out we got more common than we got differences. And that lady, you could tell that I mean, she had a couple front teeth missing, probably 30, real rough. And the guy, he was a black guy, and they're working over here. I'm in Texas at the TA. We'll leave it anonymous from there for you want to keep that kind of, anyway, anonymous. So the opinions voiced here aren't my own. They do represent. Anyway, so I'm watching this deal, and I've been overwhelmed with gratitude, and I was talking with them, and I said a couple of the jokes, and they were just laughing so much. They were having such a good time, and then I was able to talk with them and stuff. And halfway through talking to them, pointing out that we're more two or more gathered type of thing, and the lady ended up mentioning at one point early on that she didn't go to church, she doesn't talk about religion, doesn't talk about politics. And then later in the conversation, she mentioned that she would have to go outside the club to smoke a cigarette. And I explained, well, you are going to church. Like the church is the congregation. That's where people are gathered together. And when you're gathering together at the club, I mean, that's a form of church. I mean, you're not there talking about God, but then again, everybody's singing a song and stuff like that. So, like, maybe you are at a church gathering, worshiping, just maybe not goodness, but you're having a lot of fellowship and stuff like that and everything. And she's like, yeah, I guess, or whatever. And I was like, see, we got a lot more in common, even though, you're a woman, you're obviously a black dude, I'm an asshole or whatever. And they both said, that lady said, I'm an asshole too. And the black guy, he was kind of quiet, but he's like, yeah. I said, so see, we all got more in common, way more in common than we have differences. And it went from laughter to educational, and then to some nuanced stuff, and then back to like we got more in common and stuff like that. And then like I told them how to search out stuff in the Bible, you know what I mean, by just like whatever's on your mind and everything. Like, if you want to know what God's got to say about it, just like ask, you know what I mean, like Google it, be like, what does the Bible say about wisdom? You know what I mean? And then, like, you find that what the Bible says, the scriptures, and then open your Bible up and read it. And of course, we're in Texas, so they already have Bibles. Like, you have to ask around here. But I probably should have made sure that they had one. I literally brought Bibles and did not bring my food. What does that mean? Anyways, so yeah, I was watching some stuff. I found a couple other people on the deal that's real good, and I thought of some stuff that I needed to send to some people. But it's actually Jesus stuff about creation, but then it's kind of fallen angels told how to do stuff. You know what I mean? It's wrote down in the cuneiform and Sumer and all that kind of stuff. And that's like the documentation of the angels, like bringing technology to the humans. But the ley lines and stuff and the resonant chambers, I've been watching that about the cathedrals and all that stuff, and how the sound resonates, and you got like the lights coming through the stained glass windows and church bells, and what the frequency and all this kind of stuff means, and how the humans are batteries and the praise. Like, we've all been to a concert and realized, I mean, good or bad don't matter. Like, there's a power when the crowd is all singing together in these amphitheaters and stuff, and how the ancient cities are laid out like a computer chip. And then, like, I know stuff from previous where it's talking about the mitochondria, you know, it's like the power center, and then like these certain proteins carry this thing over to that thing, and here's this, you know, information deal. And I'm just like, I'm a truck driver, I'm getting the information off this phone, and then I'm hauling, you know, freight from this city over to this city, you know, and how the, you know, highway system is the cardiovascular system, you know, type of deal. And you know, you got like, you know, the solar system, and then like an atom, you know what I mean? The really big is a really big picture of the really small, and then like inside of us we got all these processes and germs and viruses, and, you know, immune systems, and vitamins and minerals. Like vitamin D created through your skin is actually a hormone, you know, and it's good to have your vitamins and minerals lined out so your hormones are not out of whack, so your, you know, psychologicals are balanced and even type of deal. Amazing. That's how they say some people are wired different than others. It's like that's your ability to process vitamins and minerals. You know what I mean? You take these supplements that are, you know, do certain things for you and everything else like that. Like if you take testosterone, you quit making testosterone, so now where are you at 20 years down the road? Can't even make it, and then like boom, they turn off the supplement and they got you. You know, it's like here a while back, I was literally talking to Rocket Mortgage, and they were trying to get me to borrow more money, which I wanted to do anyway, because I was going to pay everything off anyway, so it made sense for me. And I told that lady, I said, yeah, you want me to borrow as much as I can, that way I can't pay you, and then you can swoop, you know, take away everybody's job and then swoop in to steal all the land. And she just kind of laughed. She's like, And I was like, no, it's okay. I'm cool with it. You know, like, let's borrow money and then, like, you know, send it straight to the bills. And that made it where just my buying power. But they didn't realize the other stuff. So I was already planning on making double mortgage payments. So when everything doubled, I was just back to, okay, I'll make one mortgage payment, make it work or whatever. Like, I kind of figured that like, everything always goes up. So, you know, 15 years from now, I can expect my taxes to be more than they are today. Duh. Anyway, and I guess most people don't read it. You know what I mean? When I went to the title company and I demanded the contract to go over before signing, they said, well, you know, if you come in on that day, we'll explain everything to you, blah, blah, this and that and everything. And I'm like, I'm going to need a copy of it at least a week before you expect me to sign it. And they're like, what for? I said, so I can read it. And they're like, well, everybody just, I said, well, I'm not everybody, I'm me. So they did not send it to me, and I did have to go up there on the day of signing, and they still didn't want to actually give me the piece of paper. And I told them, I said, dude, I will walk out of this door right now. It's like, I don't even want to live here. You know what I mean? I want to live where there's trees and a creek I can drink out of. I don't want to live in, you know, super hot Texas. Like, it's too hot. Anyway, I read it and everything else like that, and I'm like, what's this deal right here that says, you know, you guys been saying 2.5. What's this page right here that says 2.5 is not the amount? And I was like, look at this, look at this. And during the process, I totally pissed that guy off too. And he like works at the church and everything. And I told him, this, that, or whatever. And he wasn't getting on the stick. And he's like, you haven't paid me a dime. And at the end of it and everything, I was like, did you get paid? And he was like, yeah. I was like, see, I did fucking pay you, son of a bitch. Anyway, sorry, that's enough to make a preacher cuss. The mortgage process is enough to make a preacher cuss, for sure. Not that I'm a preacher, but I'm a cusser. And I need to clean that up. I literally have a bad taste in my mouth right now. Even talking about a mortgage gives me a bad taste in my mouth. It's yucky. But now I've learned other stuff in my quest to be financially literate, that there's such a thing as a open-ended mortgage. So if you'll mortgage one of your assets, as you pay it off, you can go back. Like, all you're required to pay is interest. That's it. Like you can mortgage this thing. Say you got a $200,000 house, you can get an open-ended mortgage and just pay the interest on the $200 and live there till you die. As long as you make that interest payment, you're good to go. Miss 3 interest payments, the bank gets to steal your house. You know what I'm saying? Pay the principal down. Not only does the interest become less, but if you don't actually pay it off ever, you can always go to the bank and say, I need, say you pay this thing down, you owe them $500. You go to the bank and say, hey, I want to draw out $120,000. They're like, here you go. You don't have to go through the mortgage process again. So you're living in your home under mortgage, yet it's still liquid. You have liquid equity without a fresh paperwork nightmare. You know what I mean? So that is incredibly interesting. I did not know that tool existed until after the fact. I've never even tried to use a bank until I moved to Texas. Anyway, they're crooked as a bird on the snakes. But the sacred geometry, I guess you could Google that. And then I'm gonna put this thing I've been watching. I'm gonna put it in here. I'm just gonna post it on my channel. I thought about putting it on some of these other stuff on Patreon, with a couple of these other folks, but I think right now it's a real let's focus on what Jesus did. Even though it talks about the ley lines and how the earth was put together, how the Father and Son built the earth. So maybe I will post on there. I don't know. But I'm going to put it on here and enjoy that today. And have a great day. You know what I mean? Like, one other small thing. English is this way reading. Hebrew is this way reading. So you got Rock L. You know what I mean? It's like, rock on, God. And then, like, Jesus is our rock and everything like that. And then L means God. And then it's like, for those about to rock. Or whatever. You know what I mean? And rock and roll. Or whatever. How's that go? What do I do with my hands? I don't know. Anyway, we're having fun. Oh, so they used to do this all the time? I just go like that, like we're having fun. The light went out. The sun's coming up, so the light went out. I'm at the fuel island at the TA. And for the record, there's only being one other guy. There's 6 open bays, so I'm not blocking the fuel island. I'm gonna get driving. Oh, the other way. Read it the other way. That would be El Rock. So if you're like doing the Spanish style, that would be like The Rock, or God is my foundation. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna post this on here. Pay attention to how it talks about how the earth was formed by a father figure and a son. It's pretty cool. It's it'll make you think, and it just like it's like drinking from a fire hose. It's about 20 minutes or so. Make for a awesome what do you think about that in the congregationals? Remember, if you give a little, if you find a little bit of knowledge and you give it, God will give you more. If you're good with a little, He'll give you a lot. That was one of the things I just explained to them. I was like, when you're acting maturely, that unlocks the. We put God in a bind where He can't give us stuff because we're immature. Like Bill Gates. Let's say Bill Gates has got a son. Bill Gates got a lot of money. Let's say his son keeps wrecking the farm truck and then says, Dad, can I have a Lamborghini? Well, Bill can afford to give him a Lamborghini, one for every day of the week. But the child is not mature enough. He's going to go wreck this supercar going super fast and kill himself. So Bill, in that moment, is not a good dad. You see what I'm saying? So like God's got all this blessing. He's ready to just pour this barrel of blessing upon you. Make yourself able to receive it. There's a way to, like if you set up a company, you have to set up the company where it is fundable. The word is fundable in a business setting, right? So you got to have your EIN number. You got to have like a business plan. You got to have a product, sales, accounting. You need a website. You need a business address. It's got a nice little office front. You need to go and get like your finger hut, your U-line, and a fuel card with the Flying J, because they report to the business credit. Make sure you get an account with them or whatever else like that. Then go to the bank and try to get your corporate credit type situation. And these factors is what the bank is going to look at your entity, your LLC. When they look you up on there, they're going to type in, this website or whatever, so you need your .org stuff, you know what I mean? Don't go to the bank and try to get business or corporate credit with a Gmail account and stuff like that, right? And this makes you look like a legit business, so the bank is more likely to give you funding so that you can buy this machinery and this equipment and stuff like that, right? And then you can separate so you got the bank over here, and then you got your LLC over here, and then you got your person right here. So I want to separate my person from both of these, and then transact up here on this other level as a different entity. That way, like if they ever they can't breach all the way to me because they're dealing with this, and this right here is funded by this and managed by another one. So you got management, and then this, and then that, and the other, blah blah. And they got to breach all of that before they can get to me to try to take my house. And that's set up to protect the wife so she can live out her days where she wants to live there at Unit T. And, yeah, it makes sense to me. So, and I'm doing this to glorify God because, like, I don't want to live there. I surely do not want the hassle of running all this stuff. But if that's what my calling is, then that's what I got to do. If he tells me to go and do, I just go and do. You know what I mean? It's not that. There's a time where it's blood, sweat, and tears, and there's a time where it's stuck in an office doing paperwork. And I could pick between sweating and bleeding on a roof and sitting in a cubicle. You know what I mean? And it both is just like, been there, done that, don't like that. And maybe this season, for me, I'm maturing into something else. And I'm just trying to share the journey with you guys and everything like that. So that's real cool. Anyway, I'll post that on the deal. Might send out an email to a couple people. Send it via email to a couple people. And yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible. And when you watch this stuff, I just want you to understand that there is God really created Adam and Eve, and they like separated themselves. They created a block between them and God through disobedience. fallen angels gave us technology. Okay? But God allowed that. God knew that would happen. He was not surprised. Okay? So let's be perfectly clear. When we suffer, we deserve it, and yet that's how we train. If it ain't raining, you ain't training. Anyway, let Him reign, and study on how to receive, how to be fundable from on high. You know what I mean? Make sure you got your heavenlies correct. Like how long did Jerry Rice study to catch a football? He was a receiver. You know, how do you dial your radio and your comms? You know, set the frequency. You know, 97.5 KMOD. You know what I mean? How you gonna listen to Roy D. Mercer if you ain't on KMOD? You know what I'm saying? Well, I may have just told how old I am there. All right. And then Channel 19, if you're a real trucker. And then, you know, if you got to kick it on down to Double Harley, then kick it on down and listen to the real men talk. Because that's where that, well, used to happen. I don't know about that. They're pretty quiet on the radio these days. All right. Kind of rambling. There was something else that was important too. I guess it's not that important. All right, Rock Hill. Go get them.